Before the world ended, Jake was the greatest treasure hunter alive. No matter how old or hidden the artifact, he always found it, especially underwater, his favorite hunting ground. Life was good until a massive solar flare wiped out all electronics and threw the world into chaos. Governments collapsed, warlords took over, cities starved, and money became worthless. Medicine and fuel vanished. 6 years later, Jake still hunts treasure in England. He arrives at an abandoned neighborhood, slips into a hotel, and heads for the penthouse. Behind a large bookshelf, he finds a secret door and blasts it open with small explosives. Connecting his battery for light, he finds a safe with a keypad. Using the fingerprints on the buttons, he cracks the code and opens it, discovering a stash of old records. Playing the one matching the password triggers a second hidden safe containing a valuable violin. Just then, thugs disguised as police burst in and demand the violin. Jake refuses and threatens them. A brutal fight breaks out. He shoots down several attackers and uses his blade when the ammo runs out. When the leader pulls the blade from his fallen man, Jake flips him off, triggering an explosive hidden in the weapon that kills the leader instantly. Moments later, Jake enters a large mansion turned factory guarded by armed men. He delivers the violin to the warlord's assistant, who says King August has another job for him. Jake finds it ridiculous that a warlord calls himself king and refuses the offer since it involves crossing the channel. When August hears about his refusal, he orders his assistant to make Jake an offer he can't turn down. Back at his home, a wrecked boat at the docks, Jake avoids his own traps and feeds his dog. He checks his payment, plays a record, and drinks until he falls asleep, dreaming of sailing a new boat around the world. The next morning, a noise wakes him. Outside, a soldier is trapped in one of his snares, claiming the king wants to see him. Jake leaves without freeing him and heads to a warehouse where August waits with dozens of soldiers. August explains he's hired many people, but none can find things like Jake. He says he's trying to rebuild civilization, but Jake still isn't interested until August shows him the reward, a brand new boat. The mission is to recover the Mona Lisa from a secret facility. Since Paris was among the first cities attacked, the government hid its treasures before fleeing. August promises Jake all the supplies he needs, so Jake accepts. Before leaving, he says goodbye to his dog and asks August's assistant to care for him if he doesn't return. Jake reaches the airport and grows uneasy when he sees bullet holes in the plane meant for his trip. August hands him a map outlining safe routes and rebel zones. In the city center, one of August's contacts will meet him to lead the rest of the way. Once Jake secures the Mona Lisa, extraction equipment will arrive 3 hours later. That evening, Jake boards the plane. The young pilot insists everything's fine, but Jake stays tense as the pilot struggles with the controls. The pilot finally admits they'll run out of fuel halfway and need to parachute out. Jake, who's never used a parachute, gets no help from him. He drifts off and dreams of sailing with a mysterious woman, but wakes abruptly when the plane is attacked. The pilot dodges enemy fire and announces they must jump early. They find a clearing, and Jake leaps out, deploying his parachute before crash landing hard. As he moves through the wrecked area, he finds fires and bodies of rebels hanging from buildings. Suddenly, a tank bursts through the rubble and targets him, but before it fires, a missile destroys it. Rebels emerge, finish off the soldiers with a grenade, and disappear. Jake then continues his journey. In the city of Amiens, soldiers rule the streets under the ruthless warlord Volkov. Obsessed with chess as a tool for war strategy, he forces civilians to play with him and kills one who admits he doesn't know how. His lieutenant, Gorynych, reports that someone parachuted into the area, so Volkov orders his men to find the intruder. At dawn, Jake reaches St. Quentin, a city crushed by poverty and fear of Volkov's rule. He swaps his clothes for rags from a car trunk to blend in. In the main square, soldiers enforce strict curfews by publicly shooting 2 rebels. When Jake tries to slip away, he's surrounded by troops demanding his bag. He throws it into one soldier's face and launches into a brutal fight, slamming one man's hand in a car door and smashing another's head against a window before stabbing a soldier with his own knife. As he catches his breath, another guard aims to shoot him. But suddenly, a freedom fighter slits the man's throat. She introduces herself as Drea, August's contact. She admits she watched the whole fight to test Jake's skills, warning that things will only get tougher. Together, they move through the crowded streets to stay hidden, but a general spots them. They duck into a church and meet Father Samson, who holds a vital map once carried by the executed rebels. Samson leads Jake and Drea to his garage, showing them the truck he's been repairing. On the map, he points to their next destination, and they notice a cipher code in the corner. While Samson prepares the vehicle, Drea tends to Jake's wounds. Outside, the general and his soldiers surround the church, demanding everyone surrender. Jake and Drea rush to the truck, while Samson steps out to stall them. When the general refuses to believe he's alone, Samson shoots him in the arm, but is gunned down instantly. Inside, soldiers discover the garage, distracted by Jake starting the truck. Drea ambushes them from behind, swiftly taking them out with a mix of gunfire and blades. The troops outside don't hear the fight until the truck's radio blares to life. The tank fires at the church just as Jake smashes through the garage door. As soldiers open fire, the bullets bounce harmlessly off. The truck is bulletproof. Jake floors it, launching the vehicle over a ramp and soaring over the tank. Soldiers jump on motorcycles to chase them, but when they reach a checkpoint, Jake plows straight through, jumping the barricade and forcing the guards to dive for cover. A car full of soldiers blocks the road, forcing Jake to swerve into a nearby building. The pursuing tank fires from a distance, but the shell hits another car, sending it crashing into the bikers. Jake makes a sharp turn to dodge an explosion, as Drea directs him into a tunnel. Two bikers chase them through, and when they emerge, another tank is waiting. Jake narrowly avoids its cannon fire and keeps speeding ahead. Soon they're surrounded. Drea hurls a grenade, wiping out the bikers, but a car continues the pursuit. The tank fires again, and Jake launches the truck over a bump, causing the shell to hit their pursuers instead. As they race through another section of the city, another squad of soldiers appears, followed by the tank preparing another shot. Jake dodges just in time, and the blast destroys the enemy vehicles. Finally free, Jake and Drea head toward Soily. That night, they rest under the stars. Jake wonders why so many are dying for a single painting. Drea reveals the truth. The Mona Lisa is just a cover. The real goal is the vault hidden with it, filled with weapons that could help the rebels fight back. Knowing Jake's dream of sailing, she folds an origami boat and gives it to him for luck. The next day, Volkov speeds toward St. Quentin on his private train. The general reports that two rebels wiped out their entire unit and tries to save face by bragging about killing the priest, but Gorynych executes him on the spot. Meanwhile, in Soily, Jake and Drea reach an old building believed to contain the vault. Drea grows tense. It's in territory controlled by the Wraiths, ex-prisoners turned cannibals. A flare goes up nearby, signaling someone's tracking them. They rush inside and find blood on the walls and an empty, recently opened vault. The hinges smell of explosives, but there's no damage inside, meaning the contents were moved. Outside, the Wraiths close in. Searching the upper floors, Jake and Drea find spent casings and bullet holes, signs of a last stand. In the main office, Jake discovers a fake wall hiding a notebook. Drea translates the French notes and finds coordinates, but Jake doubts it's that simple. Using the cipher from their map, he decodes the real message, the name Simshov. Drea identifies it as a fort and marks it on the map. Before they can leave, the Wraiths swarm the stairs. Jake plants a grenade on the door and escapes through the window with Drea. Moments later, the Wraiths burst in, triggering the explosion that wipes them out. Back in the truck, Drea radios the rebels, telling them to meet at Simshov. Meanwhile, Volkov's train arrives in Soily. Spotting the truck's tire tracks, Gorynych finds the notebook with the fake coordinates, but Volkov isn't fooled. Using a UV light, he spots Drea's fingerprints on the real map and realizes they're heading to Simshov. The Wraith who fired the flare tries to talk, but Volkov thanks him with a bullet. Jake and Drea soon reach Simshov. Drea cuts a chain to open the gate, and they drive into the silent compound. Jake immediately senses something off. No guards, no resistance. Inside, machines hum faintly, suggesting solar power. Checking the blueprints, Drea identifies the sound as an air filtration system for the sealed vault. Jake studies the plans and decides to access the vault through an air shaft, though a large fan blocks the way. Drea goes to find the solar panels and shut it down, while Jake prepares to descend. On the top floor, he ties a rope to a valve, cuts his bag into a makeshift harness, and begins lowering himself down the shaft. The fan spins dangerously below him, and friction starts to wear the rope thin. At the same time, Drea reaches the solar panels and opens fire. Her first shot misses, but the second hits, cutting the power just as Jake's rope snaps. The fan stops in time for him to fall through safely. After a hard landing, Jake sees the air duct below is flooded. He takes a deep breath, dives in, and swims toward a locked hatch. Struggling against the water, he forces it open just before running out of air. Inside the vault, Jake opens the main door from within, allowing Drea to enter. To his shock, the Mona Lisa is actually a nuclear bomb with the painting drawn on it. Drea admits she already knew. August hadn't told Jake because he knew Jake wouldn't help. She explains that when the US bombed Japan, it kept an extra bomb ready for Moscow. August doesn't plan to use it, he just wants to keep it from warlords like Volkov. Jake doesn't buy it. He believes none of the warlords can be trusted, and that power always wins. As the rebels arrive to help Drea move the bomb, Jake silently leaves in the truck. Moments later, Volkov's train pulls into Simshov. His soldiers open fire, overwhelming the rebels. Gorynych launches a missile that destroys their truck, and Volkov retrieves the bomb's safety key as the weapon is loaded onto the train. Meanwhile, Jake stops by the roadside, staring at Drea's origami boat. It reminds him what's worth fighting for. He turns back to the fort and finds the place littered with bodies, but Drea is still alive. After bandaging her wounded leg, she apologizes, admitting he was right that fighting seemed pointless. But Jake insists they can still stop Volkov by destroying the train. They gather explosives, set up a trap, and leave in the truck as the fort explodes behind them. That evening, Volkov's train slows due to poor visibility. Angry, Volkov shoots the conductor, causing the train to speed up. At the same time, Jake and Drea drive onto a bridge. When the train passes beneath, Jake leaps onto it, opens a car door, and tosses a grenade inside, taking out several guards. He charges in to finish the rest with brutal hand-to-hand combat, grabbing a gun and firing back. Soon Gorynych joins the fight, overpowering Jake until Jake strikes him in the groin, turning the tide. The brawl continues until Volkov appears and starts shooting. Jake uses Gorynych as a shield, then rushes Volkov, and the two trade heavy blows across the room. Finally, Jake slams Volkov onto a table, stabs his hand with a compass, and snatches the bomb's safety key. Meanwhile, Drea drives ahead to the next bridge and sets up explosives. Moments later, they detonate, destroying the bridge just before the train can cross. Jake jumps out of the carriage as Volkov rushes to the controls, trying to stop it, but it's too late. The train hurtles off the broken tracks and crashes into the gorge, exploding in a massive fireball. Believing Jake died in the blast, Drea breaks down in tears until he suddenly appears behind her. Relieved, she hugs him tightly. Later in England, Jake meets with August and hands him the safety key, explaining that the bomb now lies at the bottom of the gorge. Only the key can detonate it. August says he still plans to recover it, just to be safe. Jake turns down any future missions and sails away on his new boat. Drea joins him, and they share a kiss as they head off to explore the world together. Back in his vault, August locks away the safety key next to the real Mona Lisa, revealing he's had it all along. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.